Hey everyone, welcome back to Pretty Creepy. Today we're going to be reading creepy and true Randonautica stories. If you don't know what Randonautica is, don't worry, I googled it. It's a mobile app that generates random coordinates, encouraging users to explore their local surroundings, often for the purpose of breaking out of daily routines or to test the theory that human intention can influence random events. I think in order to generate coordinates, you have to set an intention of like what vibes you want for your adventure. And an intention could be spooky, happy, mysterious, or treasure, etc. Those are just some of the ones I saw on Reddit. I've never tried it, but it sounds pretty creepy. Also, I would like to throw up a trigger warning. There is some mention of self-harm in this episode. Anyway, let's get into these stories. Grab a drink, a snack, a blankie, and your favorite stuffed animal, and let's get creeped out. I had some interesting experiences using the app. One time I held my intention as rainbows. This is just after a thunderstorm had cleared out. The point was within walking distance from my apartment, so I set out. I turned the first corner, and there is a horrific accident scene. Cop cars, a car flipped upside down in the street. This is a small residential street with a speed limit of like 20 miles per hour. It was so surreal to see a scene like this there. Never another accident there in the whole time I lived there, and this was a violent one. I changed my mind and went back home. It was later I was thinking about it and realized the mixed colors of oil and water on the pavement that I saw could be the rainbows I asked for. I had downloaded the app but hadn't actually tried it out. One night my wife and I thought it would be cool to give it a whirl before we brought our grown kids out to try one. I guess I thought I'd see if it was safe for the kids first. I don't know. We're sitting in an empty parking lot, and I load up the app. We were going to go home and get some headlamps and a jacket. As we were driving through the parking lot, we noticed a small woman being followed by a big, hulking dude behind the building we were driving past. We swung around to the back of the building and noticed they were headed right for us. We backed out of there and went towards a security guard who was in his car, and the couple were following us. Apparently they knew each other. We noped out of there, and I quickly deleted the app. If that sort of shenanigans were normal, I didn't want any further part of it. Just seemed odd and kinda nerve-wracking. I'm thinking about downloading it and trying it again, although my wife thinks I'm nuts. Should I? It was approximately 2 a.m. We got our first point. My buddy and I were in a rural area south of Milwaukee. On the way to our point, the first thing that happened was on the right shoulder of the road. We saw two glowing eyes, greenish blue. It was a large, all-white cat planted on the road's shoulder. Weird thing about this was how the cat appeared to be unfazed by my car and almost expecting us. We get to the point, which was approximately 50 feet into some woods. Conveniently, though, there was a driveway there which I could turn around in. I usually opt out for U-turns this time of night, but for unknown reasons, I pulled in this driveway which was nestled among forest. No sooner than I pulled in, something completely bizarre happened. A humongous bulldog, all muscles, suddenly appeared. It was unchained, no leash, no collar, no owners around, all of this at 2 a.m. This particular dog and sight was terrifying. It began to bark at us and actually chase us out of this driveway. This experience was completely out of place, and something felt very off, like parallel universe type of feeling. I backed up and got the hell out of there. A friend of mine and I tried it while on a trip to Gatlinburg, Tennessee a few years ago. We decided to make our intent scare the hell out of us. It took us to a point that was very secluded on a mountainous back road in the middle of BFE. Definitely no one around. It was about 2:30, 3 in the morning, and we were about to call it a night when out of nowhere, Headlights flashed on behind us, and a white Mustang started chasing us aggressively down this crazy winding road. We found an overgrown side road and ducked down it and killed the lights, hiding. The car chasing us passed, and we waited a while before leaving. The second we left and turned back onto the main road, the same car was somehow behind us again, chasing us and honking. Once we got back down the mountain to the main highway, the car turned crazily around and went back up. That was enough for us, and we hauled ass back to the hotel. I heard about Randonautica back in 2020 during the beginning of the pandemic. I thought it looked interesting and that it might be a good way to get out of the house. My boyfriend and I tried it out a couple of times. It took us to some random places, but nothing creepy, which was our intention. Fast forward to today, and I'm scrolling Facebook and come across a post about how they found the remains of missing girl Candace Fitzpatrick. She went missing in 2008 from Oshawa, Ontario. Her DNA was found in the freezer of Adam Strong, who is also a resident of Oshawa. Candace was never found until November 2021. I remember seeing on Facebook that the forensic unit was out near my house back in November because of remains being found. I had a brief thought about maybe they found Candace, but didn't really think anything else about it. At the news conference, they talked about where her remains were found, and out of curiosity, I decided to check Google Maps and see if it was the same location as the forensic search last November. I was not prepared to find out that it was the same location Randonautica took us the very first time we tried it. Now I just feel sick. The Randonautica pin was in this small bunch of trees behind a bunch of newer houses. We parked the truck, walked down the path, and off the path trying to get closer to the pin. We ended up giving up because the bush was so thick, and we left. I haven't used Randonautica since 2020 because nothing really happened and I thought it was fake. Boy, was I wrong. Today I was using the app, and it took me on this long sand road with the ocean on the right of it. We got to the dead end of it, but there was a walkway to the right of it, so we went down there. It said we were 400 meters away from it, and that we could see it from here. I'm not sure if this is what we were looking for, but a 7-foot-tall person, so skinny, was alone and spinning around. Then it saw us, and it went on all fours and started chasing us. Mind you, at this time it was almost nighttime. Me and my friend never ran so fast, and I deleted the app as soon as I got back home. Hi, I'm Danny from Italy, and tonight I had an extremely creepy experience using Randonautica. I downloaded the app this morning. I'm a very skeptical person, and I wanted to try it. I went with a friend of mine, and this afternoon we found an old abandoned house with ivy all over the walls. Kinda eerie. Tonight, more or less an hour ago, before I took her back home, we tried again. The app led us to a long gravel path with some houses on the left and on the right. Just normal houses, nothing scary or weird. Since the path was kinda narrow, we decided to go on walking. We walked for more or less 200 meters, and we arrived in front of the gate of a normal house. I wanted to take some photos, but while I was starting the camera app, the creepiest thing happened. I heard the voice of a little baby laughing. It was 1 a.m., definitely not a kid playing there, and me and my friend started running at the same time without even looking at each other. We ran for a bit, then I turned back and I saw 2 little lights, similar to cat eyes in the dark, following us. They had the height of a 5 or 6-year-old child. In the meantime, there was a sound of someone running in the gravel. Everything disappeared when we approached the car, and we didn't hear any sound of something running back. I don't know what that thing was, but damn, I have chills down my spine. Definitely very, very scary. So yesterday morning, I downloaded the app and started thinking of something I would like to find. It gave me a set of coordinates. My intent was inspiration, so I had no idea what to expect. I decided on waiting till nighttime before going to make it more interesting. Nighttime came and I was ready. I was pumped. It was my very first time doing something like this. I got to my given location, and it was a street behind a golf course. I stood there looking all around me for my inspiration when I saw a man standing in the distance ahead of me in the street. He was wearing a hoodie and long pants, with his back towards me. Freaked out at this point, I started stepping backwards, and after giving a few steps, the man turned around and looked at me. I froze in my tracks. He started walking towards a tree to my left that was right outside the golf course's fence. When he reached the tree, I noticed something moving a few feet above the ground. It was a man standing on a footstool with a noose around his neck. The hooded man stood still next to him for a few seconds, and with a small kick of the stool, it fell right out from under the hanging man, and he was left trying to stand on something that was no longer underneath him. He was flailing around like a fish on dry land, before slowing down, eventually not moving anymore. I was so scared at this point, and I started running back the way I came. As I was running, I looked back towards the hooded man and his victim, but he wasn't chasing me. I reached the main road and signaled for a taxi, heading my way to stop. I got in and told the driver what I saw. He looked at me shocked and disturbed and told me I need to call the police and report this. I did it right there and then, telling them everything I saw. I still don't know if that guy was the one who sent me the coordinates, or if it was all just a big coincidence. But what I do know is that I will never be using Randonautica again. So I went randonauting and have done it before. I've always had pretty cool outcomes. I normally manifest friendly wildlife. I've seen hawks, deer, etc. I did the same thing this time. I went 2 times today before I did this one, where I had a bad experience. I once again manifested friendly wildlife, and it brought me to a field with a gravel path. It took me along the path into a hill. No bad vibes, pretty flowers, until I got to the hill. It didn't look off, but something wasn't right. Before I was about to leave, something jumped off the hill and into the tall grass and growled. I just ran and it chased me for a little bit. I don't live in a very dangerous area in terms of wildlife. I'm still really confused as to what exactly happened. It looked like a black animal about the size of a dog, and considering the growl, I'd think it was a stray dog. But when I got back to my car, my phone was glitching and out of nowhere my car wouldn't start. It's a 2017 Subaru with no major issues, so I was baffled. I noticed scratches on my body as well, even under my clothes. Though the ones that were on my arms and calves could have been from grass, I'm still baffled about how there's a giant scratch on my chest. This has been my weirdest experience yet. I had never used the Randonautica app. However, some of mine and my fiance's friends were traveling to meet us. We have played Xbox together for years, and I wanted something cool and fun we could do that is relatively cheap. So I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers, and she was talking about Randonautica, so I downloaded the app. I initially signed in just by hitting sign in with Google, so I didn't have to make an actual account per se. But when I first logged in, I set the intention as peaceful and serene. I don't know where it sent me, but it was a random location. I didn't go explore that or anything. I was more so checking out what the app was like. At this time, the app force closed on me, and it said it signed my account out due to an error. So I was talking to my fiance about how I had downloaded the app. I tried again to open it and sign in, and it worked. So this time I set the intention as spooky, eerie, and make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. This is where the trigger warning comes in. The app sent me to the exact home I lived in where I had my first suicide attempt. I have been shook honestly ever since. Okay, so maybe I'm weird, but to me, the creepiest story was the one where they went on like a beach and saw a tall, skinny person spinning around by themselves. Then they got on all fours and chased them. No, thank you. The first one was really scary too, actually. That was crazy. I was reading some of the comments on Reddit, and some people said that they believe that maybe crazy people are able to hack the app and lure you into unsafe locations and situations. What do you think? I don't know. I know it's just an app, but honestly, it does sound pretty sinister. Let me know what story you thought was the creepiest, and be sure to follow me so you don't miss any spooky, creepy, scary content. I'll talk to y'all next time.